You are all welcome to our historical gathering of Islamic Economic Interaction Day with our respective dignitaries and experts in the field. In our midst today is an expert for financial inclusion, Abdulaziz, plus infrastructural development expert, William Virgin. Also, ethical entrepreneurship expert, Anna Salis Adam, and Islamic economic development expert, Yusuf Abdullah Umar. With me today is Rachel Tayo Omoni. Thank you for coming and thank you for joining us. You are welcome again, gentlemen. As an expert of financial inclusion, Mr. Abdulaziz, in your own view, what is Islamic finance, sir?
Well, thank you. Islamic finance is a financial system that works with the line of Sharia principles, unlike conventional system. The main goals of Islamic finance is fairness, social justice, and transparency. Islamic finance is a combined faith and fairness to ensure that money is saved people rather than to exploiting them. Islamic finance, the main goals of informing Islamic finance is to have affordable and accessible financial systems to those that exclude themselves because of interest in conventional system.
Okay, sir. In continuation, how does Islamic finance promote financial inclusion among undeserved population?
Well, in today's world, Islamic finance is part of the global economy. Islamic finance does not let anyone behind. It opens the doors for each and every individual to include or participate into economic activities through various mechanisms. For examples like microfinance, sukuk, takaful, which is Islamic insurance, and then mudaraba and musharaka. When we're talking about the microfinance is purposely designed to distribute money without interest in order undeserved people to defend or to promote themselves into economic activities. While sukuk is a community development for those that exclude themselves in economic activities.
You mean that all these are also available for the undeserved population, even in Nigeria?
Exactly.
All right, thank you so much for your contribution. All right, you, sir, an expert in infrastructural development, Mr. Williams. How does Islamic finance address infrastructural development, sir?
You are all welcome. And thanks you for the question. Having known what financial and Islamic finance is all about from my opponents, I will go straight to the infrastructural development. If we are talking of infrastructural development, we are referring to nothing but then the process of constructing, upgrading, and maintaining essential physical and organizational structures which promote or which leads to the development of social economics, of social welfare and the national development. So Islamic, it is the backbone of any economics. Anything concerning development, we want to enjoy to have the use of the social infrastructures. This social infrastructure has been that it is the backbone of the development, but it has a lot of challenges in the developing countries, which include the limited access to the conventional finance. So the Islamic finance now address this system through ethics, asset-based, and risk-sharing mechanism that promote sustainable and inclusive growth. The mechanism used by the Islamic finance To address this infrastructural development issue include the following. One, we have sukuk, known as Islamic bonds. This sukuk is nothing but a certificate issued to represent the ownership of a tangible asset or project. Both the private and government can therefore apply this very sukuk or raise this very sukuk in order to build the necessary needs of the society, which include hospital, school, water supply, and then the power energy. Secondly, we have Waqaf. Waqaf is known as endowment fund. This endowment fund means nothing but an accumulation or donation or contribution of both property and money for the public benefit. So the Islamic finance can now use this assets contributed in order to address the issue of infrastructural development by building schools, clinic.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much for that. And still on that question, how does Islamic finance facilitate funding for infrastructural development projects in Nigeria, especially in healthcare sector, sir?
Thank you. Before I should proceed, I would like to enlighten you a little bit on healthcare. If we are talking of healthcare, we are referring to nothing but an organized provision of services made in order to maintain, restore, or improve people's physical, mental, and well-being. So the Islamic finance can now facilitate this issue in Nigeria by providing the necessary needs, or the necessary social needs, such as clinic, hospitals, and equipment, not including the hospital's equipment that can use in order to carry out the treatment. And by doing that, they must have to also embark on Islamic mechanism, which includes Waqaf. Waqaf, they can now use it. It can use in order to raise the funds and provide the clinic or the standard clinic for within the society, and also subsidize it to the extent that even the poor can be able to benefit over it. And secondly, we also have what is called sukuk. This sukuk is known as a very big and large mechanism, a very big and large Islamic mechanism that can use in order to mobilize funds to raise the standard building by either providing this thing, the research center for the clinic, by constructing, renovating anything concerning healthcare services. It can be used by the fund being raised through sukuk. Furthermore, we can also use zakat as one of the mechanisms in order to facilitate the healthcare in Nigeria. This zakat is known as nothing but contribution by each and every member of the Islamic. Being you an Islamic member, you must have to contribute this amount of money. And they do contribute it annually. So the amount being get from the zakat or being accumulated from this one can also use in order to provide the necessary needs of the healthcare services.
Thank you so much, Mr. Williams. As an expert in infrastructural development that's awesome. Thank you so much. Now, by moving forward, Anas, As an expert in ethical entrepreneurship, sir, what do you think are the ways to improve and promote ethical entrepreneurship, especially in Nigeria, sir?
Well, first of all, when we say ethical, we mean decent. Also, relating to ethical theories, involving or expressing moral approval or disapproval, conforming to accepted standard of conduct of a drug, restricted to sell only on a doctor's prescription. Entrepreneurship is someone who organizes, manages, and assumes the risks of a business or enterprises. Also, entrepreneurship is a driver of innovation, job creation, and economic growth. However, in recent years, it concerns about unethical practices such as environmental degradation and deceptive marketing have highlighted the need for ethical entrepreneurship. Ethical entrepreneurship goes beyond profit making to embrace values such as fairness, social responsibility, integrity, and sustainability. Promoting it not only enhances corporate reputation, but it also fosters trust among stakeholders. It improves long-term profitability, and it contributes to sustainable development. Islamic economics and finance encourages entrepreneurs based on fairness and social responsibility. Contracts like Mudaraba, profit sharing, and Musharaka, joint partnership, support startups and SMEs without burdening them with interest. To promote and improve ethical entrepreneurship, we must strengthen our capacity building programs, ensure halal compliance in business, and discourage exploitative industries such as gambling, alcohol, and any other harmful products. Islamic banks can provide mentorship and funding to small businesses. In this way, we not only raise, we, in this way, entrepreneurship did not only raise entrepreneurship did not only raise a successful business, but also businesses with principles. Furthermore, ethical entrepreneurship simply means doing business the right way with honesty, integrity, and responsibility. In Islam, trade is an act of worship when it's conducted with integrity. To promote ethical To promote and improve ethical entrepreneurship, we must firstly embed Islamic business ethics in practice, avoiding riba, that is interest, fraud, and exploitation. And then secondly, strengthen ethical training in our universities and incubators so that our future entrepreneurs are guided by both profit and purpose. And then thirdly, expand access to Sharia-compliant finance so that our young entrepreneurs are not forced into unethical debt traps. Also, fourthly, we create ethical certifications for business or halal sales that comply with integrity standards. And finally, mentorship. Mentorship established entrepreneurs must serve as role models to the younger generation. In this way, we are not only raise a successful business, but also businesses that uplift the society.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Based on your explanation, sir, what are the strategies that can be implemented to foster a culture of ethics and integrity among entrepreneurs in Nigeria, sir?
Thank you. Well, now in Nigeria, one of our greatest challenges we are facing is corruption and our weak business ethics. So how can we foster integrity in Nigeria? First of all, we must reform education. Entrepreneurship must include ethics training in Islamic commercial laws. Also, government should reward ethical firms with tax incentives, grants, and priority in procurement. Public awards and recognition should public awards and recognition should revive public awards and recognition should make ethics courses compulsory so that our future entrepreneurs are guided with profit and purpose. And fourthly, mosques and churches and community groups should revive value of honesty in trade, just as our beloved Prophet Muhammad, may peace be upon him, known as Al-Amin, the trustworthy trader. And finally, regulators must strictly enforce consumer protection laws to discourage fraud. So this is how we nurture a culture where honesty pays and dishonesty is punished.
Okay, Mr. Anas Salis Adam, so you mean that as an entrepreneur, I should not involve in anything that's related to riba, or that is interest, or gambling, or speculation?
Absolutely. In Islamic economics and finance, that's absolutely prohibited.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you very much for that. So, in continuation, Mr. Yusuf Abdullah Imal, an expert in Islamic economic development, sir. So, what are the roles of Islamic finance in economic development?
Okay, thank you so much. I am very glad to have this question. First of all, when we say Islamic finance, as stated by the first presenter, is a financial system that operates according to Islamic principles, which is derived from the primary source of Quran and Hadith. Unlike the normal conventional financial system that rely heavily on interest, all transactions in Islamic finance must be permissible. And this Islamic finance has a lot of contributions towards the economic development of a particular country. If we take an example with this mobilization of savings that banks used to do, you know that people usually save their money in banks. So in Islamic financial institutions like Taj Bank and the Jais Bank, when people save their money in such institutions, the bank are not just keeping the money with them. They either invest it in a real asset or use that money to do some infrastructural development. By doing that, they create employment opportunities to the citizens of that country, which will allow that citizen to have access to job, and they will earn income. They will improve their living standard. You see, this is an economic development. Another way in which this Islamic finance contributes to economic development is through ethical and socially responsible investment. Islamic finance prohibit investment in harmful or unethical industries. Industries like gambling, alcohol industries, pornography, and the rest are strictly prohibited in Islamic finance. This means that in Islamic finance, capital only flows to permissible and socially beneficial sectors. By avoiding those harmful sectors, Islamic finance protects the moral and long-term welfare of the citizens, which is also a component of economic development because it improves the general welfare of people living in an economy.
Thank you so much for that, sir. So also, how does Islamic finance contribute to sustainable economic growth and development in Nigeria as a country?
All right. Islamic finance contributes a lot to sustainable economic development. In the Nigerian context, the most visible contribution is through infrastructure financing. The issuance of sukuk by the federal and the state government is a perfect example of that. Sukuk is an Islamic bond, but it is different from the normal conventional bonds that we know. In normal conventional bonds means you lend money and you earn a fixed amount of interest after a specific period of time, right? So in sukuk, instead of that interest, it represents ownership in a real asset or project, and the investor shares the profit generated by the asset, not interest. In the Nigerian context, there are a lot of infrastructural development that was constructed under sukuk. There are a lot of roads and a lot of buildings it was constructed under sukuk project. If we take an example with the road that will take you from Azare to Podiskum, some part of that road, it was constructed under sukuk. If you are traveling by, you will be seeing signboard along the road. Sukuk is written on the signboard. End of sukuk foundation, beginning of sukuk foundation. So all this signboard is indicating you that the road is constructed under sukuk. So you see, sukuk helps Nigeria to grow by raising funds for infrastructural development, like creation of roads, construction of bridges, building of schools, and the rest. This project creates employment to the citizens of Nigeria. It also improves the transportation system, which is also part of economic growth and development in Nigeria.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your contribution, sir. Now, by moving forward, moving to you, sir, Mr. Abdulaziz, as an expert of financial inclusion. Now, what specific Islamic financial products and principles contribute to increasing access to banking and financial services for marginalized groups, sir?
Well, I have said earlier, Islamic finance is a system that works with a line of Sharia principles that prohibit riba. The reason why Islamic finance prohibits riba is to promote social justice, fairness, and transparency. So how does Islamic finance promote these things? They have a lot of various mechanisms that promote big way of promoting financial inclusion among the undeserved peoples.
Thank you so much for your contribution, Mr. Abdulaziz. Now, over to you, sir, as an expert in infrastructural development of Mr. William Silvetri. What are the mechanisms through which Islamic financial instruments can improve healthcare infrastructure in countries like Nigeria with limited conventional banking options, sir?
Thank you. As I earlier explained before, that if we are talking of we are talking of healthcare, we are referring to nothing but the maintenance of physical and medical well-being. So, the mechanism which the Islamic finance can use in order to facilitate or in order to control this includes, number one, Islamic finance or cooperative finance. So this cooperative finance is made in order to protect anything that will happen in future. Like in the case of healthcare, it can use in order to prevent any unexpected disease that will occur and majority will be affected. Secondly, we have what is called wakaf. This wakaf, as you earlier know, it is an endowment. It is an endowment fund that people can even contribute it, either their property or money for the public benefit. So if such is being contributed, definitely you know that the sector is emphasizing on the societies that did not get this, that has this limited access to the conventional and innovation grassroots. So that means they didn't have this, they did not have enough experience. They lack experience to control, to contribute to the development. So from there, they cannot use this amount of money or the properties contributed for the public benefit in order to provide or to supply their necessary needs, such as clinic, borehole, and so on. Thirdly, we have something like zakat. This zakat can also use in order to facilitate or help this very country with low or with limited access to the conventional and innovation grassroots. It can assist them in the sense that as they do not have enough to cater for their problem or their needs, definitely as this zakat has been contributed, this amount can now use in order to build or provide their necessary needs. Ladies and gentlemen, permit me to emphasize on this, that by this understanding, you conclude with me that Islamic finance is not just an alternative to the development, to the conventional development, to the conventional economics, but rather it is a bridge to the development that enable us to build hospitals, roads, bridges, etc., etc. And above all, my fellow members in Nigeria, with this understanding, let us now issue the healthcare sukuk that back up by WACAF and Nigerian and government guarantee in order to build necessary or to provide the necessary needs concerning healthcare service activities. By so doing, it will not only save the life of the masses in the society or in the country, but rather it will showcase the power of Islamic finance to Nigerians. Thanks.
Okay, Mr. Williams, before you actually go, all right, sir, is there any Islamic finance infrastructure project in Nigeria?
Yes, there is. There is Islamic finance project in Nigeria. If you look at the case of Federal Road from Abuja down to Makodi, money being contributed by the Sukuk in order to construct this very project. And looking at it, if they say they will compare it to the amount they have spent, definitely the people penetrating over it would have find it difficult. Why? Because the charges will be too much. That will, if they say they will now refer it to the interest.
Thank you very much, sir, for your contribution. Now, over to you, sir. As an expert in ethical entrepreneurship, sir, Mr. Anna Salis Adam, how can policymakers and educational institutions promote awareness and adoption of ethical practices in entrepreneurship?
Well, policymakers and schools are the backbone of this transformation.
Okay.
Why? Because policymakers are the ones to make the citizens make the policies so that they implement what is absolutely right in the society.
Thank you very much, sir, Mr. Anna Salis Adam, for that contribution. Now, by us moving forward, let me ask you, sir, as an expert in Islamic economic development, Mr. Yusuf Abdullah Umar, what are the key mechanisms through which Islamic financial institutions promote financial inclusion and support economic development, sir?
All right. When we said financial inclusion, we mean making sure everyone have access to useful and affordable financial products. The key mechanism through which Islamic financial system promotes financial inclusion and support economic development revolve around three core principles of Sharia. The first one, we have profit and loss sharing contract. Like in Islamic finance, we have Musharaka and Mudaraba, right? Musharaka is an Islamic partnership where all parties contribute capital and shares the profit or loss generated by the capital based on agreed upon ratio. While in Mudaraba, an investor provides the capital and an entrepreneur provides the management and labor. Profit are also shared based on agreed upon ratio, but the investors bears the full financial risk. So, you see, this alternative helps people with good business idea, but no asset to get financing by making credit accessible to the entrepreneurs and the poor. The second mechanism is through what we call Qadr al-Hasan. It is an Arabic term which means benevolent loans or free interest loan. It is a loan that Islamic financial institutions offers to people. So when people are paying back that loan, they are paying back the exact amount of money that they collected without paying any interest. And the main reason for issuing this loan is to ensure that poor people or low-income people have access to funds without falling into a debt trap. Then the third mechanism, which is the most important one, is through what we call zakat and other charitable activities. Zakat is a mandatory form of almsgiving which is being collected from the wealth of eligible Muslims and redistribute it to some specific categories of people. Among these categories of people, we have the poor and the needy. And the main reasons for implementing this zakat is to ensure that wealth does not circulate only among the rich, but benefit the whole community. So you see, by implementing this zakat, a lot of people will get out of extreme poverty. It will allow them to participate in the financial activities of the country, which is also a development and also a financial inclusion to the poor people.
Okay, so do you think that if I actually want to venture into entrepreneur, maybe business, Islamic financial institution can borrow me money.
Yes, now of course they can borrow you money.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So by concluding, that will be all for this section. Thank you very much, Ture, for being here, and I'm very glad to have you on. Thank you for your time and contribution. We'll be glad to welcome you in our forthcoming interaction section. Thank you very much.